Always please look at that. And if you find that I'm not recording, please do remind me, because that would be a bad thing if you do not record. Anyhow, for the recording purposes, I'm just telling you that we have talked about this. We have created a new folder over here, week 11, and right now I'm working over there. I've just taken a quick review of our last week's thing, but today we'll be talking about this CSS box model and notes.html. I'm really going bad. It should not be, of course it can be, but of course it should not be notes.html, rather it should be notes.txt. Very bad. So notes.txt, because we create our notes as txt and then HTML file for working it. So now we have to work on CSS box model. What is CSS box model? A box model is a very interesting feature in CSS that typically tells us that whatever we see on a page in HTML, or whatever elements that we see on the HTML page components, they all represent a box. And if they represent a box, they typically talk about that every box has certain features, certain properties that we can always set. Now, having said that, since we want to work on that one, so I'll create for today's index file, index.html. And again, I'll just create a quick HTML, and here I'll just give, we are talking about CSS box, right? And again, I can give it H1 as well. Let's talk about CSS box model. CSS box model. And let's see, let's create a paragraph and say we will see the examples of box model here, right? Because I want to just, side by side do a few things with you. Okay, I want to run this file, index.html, to show you. So CSS box model working for us. That's wonderful. Now, one another thing that I want to create a CSS file, which we can create over here as well, but style.css. This is our usual way of doing work thing. So I'll create a style.css and I'll connect this with this one, link to this one. So I'll say link and I'll say style.css, right? And to check that one, you remember, let's do a very bad thing, body, background color. And I always would like to have this blue, very bright blue. So yes, now my CSS is working. All done. Everyone is with me, because I will be now playing with this CSS and HTML a lot. Now, we'll talk about CSS later on, but first of all, let's talk about this HTML document that I have included. Now, a very, very important thing that I want to discuss over here with all of you. What is that? This inspector tool that we have in our web browser, always remember that this gives us so nice feature that you will always love this feature to have. So if you see that, what do I mean? If you see that if you go in the elements, you will find that your all complete HTML document is represented in this elements, and you can select any element out of that. So you see, if I select this CSS box model H1, do you see on my on top of my screen that is very much selected over there, right? If I select this paragraph over here, you see that my paragraph is selected on the top of it. Make sense, everyone? Now, I want to tell you something very interesting. When I click on this H1, I have selected this H1. On this side, if you see that we have got some other tabs as well, some sub tabbings. One of the tabs says styles. Do you see that? Now it is representing that what is the typical style of H1 that has been applied to it automatically. Its displays block, its font size is 2 EM, its margin block start is something from something. We are not concerned. I'll tell you something very interesting. First of all, if you scroll down, you will find a very interesting box over there. If I click on that one, now I want you to focus on this one very carefully. So this H1 is representing a box. What is that box? That box has multiple things inside that. That box has a blue area. If you see, when I take my cursor over this blue area, you will see that my elements the contents of my H1 have been highlighted on my top of the screen. You see over there? So there is something called this content, something called a padding, something called a border, something called a margin. I don't know. So every CSS object or every element in HTML is represented with a box. So if you see, I'll show you. This is the size is 823 by 37. Okay, good. 823 pixels wide and 37 pixels height. Let's talk about paragraph. How much it is? It says that 823 is the height width and 18 is the height. Do you make sense of it? So the contents have this much size and this much, height and width. So contents have this one. Now above that content is a layer which is called padding. Above that is a layer which is called border. And above there is a layer which is called margin. Now let's talk about this. I'll show you first in W3 schools because that is very interesting description of that one. This is the box model. Every element, you see that in CSS, the term box model is used when talking about design and layout. The CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around every HTML element. Every HTML element represents typically this box. It consists of, what does it consist of? It consists of margins, borders, padding, and actual content. Content, padding, border, margin. So the image below display. So this is display and explanation of different parts. The first part, content. Content is content of the box where text and images appear. This is the real content that appears on our screen. Makes sense to everyone? This will be the real content. And you remember I was telling you that if I select this H1, this is the content, the blue area. Makes sense, everyone? The blue area is the content. Okay. Then we have padding. Padding comes above content. And what is the padding? Clears an area that around the content. The padding is transparent. Padding is of no color. It is transparent. But what it does is it creates the space between the content and the border. Inderpal, are you getting that? It creates the space between the content and the border. So it will just, give breathing space to the content. I'll talk about that. And padding is always transparent. We do not give color to padding. Padding is something that is transparent. Good. Then you see border. Border is what? Border is after the padding. And border is what? Border that goes around the padding and content. So there is something that encloses the content and padding. It is called border. So typically speaking, if you say typically speaking, this is the original this is the border. This is padding in between. This is the content. Technically speaking, this is all one box represent. But now margin clears an area outside the border. The margin is transparent. There is something called margin, which is also transparent. And this margin is what that makes this element spacing between the two different elements. Like again, this element separate from the other element. And I'll shortly show you what does that mean. First of all, just try to remember the concept. Content, the main center area. Padding, the something between border and content is called padding. Border is something that encloses everything. And I typically say that this border is representing the whole element in its own. And what is the margin? Margin is the space or the clears an area outside the border. It is that the area outside the border which will make it separate or spacing from the other elements. Make sense, everyone? Now let's come back to this CSS box model. I have selected H1. H1 has this content area. H1 has no padding. You see dash, 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 dash. There is no padding. H1 has no border right now. And H1 has a margin. You see margin is of orange color. It is showing. It is 21.440 on the top and 21.440 at the bottom. I will start first with the border. If I want to apply some border to it, and we have done that. So CSS. Oh, okay. This inspector tool will give you this facility that you can check your CSS over here, just in time checking, and then you can later on push that into your CSS. So if I say border colon 1 pixel, you remember we have talked about that. Solid red. Now I have given a border to H1, and you see this border coming at the H1. Now let's go back to this one. Can anyone tell me that what has What is different in now is box, this box, this type. Tariq, can you tell me what is changed? Yeah, you see the border is of now 1 pixel, and now it has some border which is showing over there. You see over there? So this is called border of the element. Make sense, everyone? Okay. Let's put this over here. Let's discuss what is padding. And you remember, I have done this padding so many times, but I never told you what is the exact meaning, and it's here. So if I say padding, and if I say 5 pixel, I'll talk about there can be multiple values. Now, does anyone see what happened on my screen? If I just go back, see my screen, like top of the screen. What is happening? Do you see the breathing space between the border and my content is increasing by this 5 pixel? The breathing space means within the content, I'm applying some pad on that one. If I make it more, if I say 10 pixel, you see, looks good. If I say 20 pixel, you see, within the border, content has been squeezed, and my box now looks more breathable space. It looks more breathable. That's wonderful. So, okay, I leave that. And if I show you the box again, you will be surprised to see. You see, the padding value has also appeared 20, 20, 20. Make sense? 20 on each side. Border is also 1 on each side. Now, the last thing, margin. Do you see margin is only on the top and at the bottom? I'll do one very interesting thing over here. I'll come over here and I say, after this second property, I come over, I say margin. I don't want any margin. If I say 0, if I say margin 0, do you see top of my screen what has happened? If I just do that, you see that it is squeezing and it is going on the top. Now come back. Do you see the margin has gone away? There is no margin now. And this looks a bit good now. There is a 1 pixel border and 20 pixel, 20 pixel padding over there. Now you might be wondering that why, if the margin is 0, why still it is a bit offset from here? Remember, because there is some margin in body. Do you see that margin as a body of 8 pixel? How many of you see that? And if you want to really stick this one at the top, you will go in the body component and you will say margin. You want to make the margin of the body also 0. Do you see that my H1 is not completely sticking with my window? I would like you to appreciate that, understand that. You understand what's going on? I have taken my CSS H1 box and I have sticked it to the very top of my document. There is no margin now on body. There is no margin now on H1. Is that making sense? I've just got response from 2 guys. I would like to add this down how to completely. When you got it, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So now you understand that how to remove that complete. So you remember, because other elements might have some border, some margin or border or something. Now, these are all the properties that I have set for H1. And these are the one property that I have set for the body. And for your information, if you remember, this H1 style is good. It has temporarily applied that style to show me, as you remember, inline style. And you remember, inline style overrides all the previous styles. You remember? We have discussed this a number of times. And now, if someone says that I want this CSS also to be sticking with the top, so what should I remove in this from? Anyone? Should I remove the padding? Because padding is hindering this CSS box from going in the sticking on the top and the left. So if I just delete that, do you see what has happened? Is that making sense to everyone? And now, here I would like to tell you something very interesting. If you come over here, and just to check your CSS, you say border radius. There is one property of border radius. If you say, for example, 10 pixel. Now, does your H1 looks now more nicer? It has a rounded bracket, like rounded corners. Make sense, everyone? So that's very wonderful, thing that we can check. So and now here, what I can do, you see, I can just close anything and check. Okay, if I remove the border, it will look like good. Okay, no, I want the border. If I remove the padding, it will look like this. If I remove the margin, it will look like this because margin reappears. If I remove the border radius, of course, the border radius will go away. But if I can do that. And by the way, these all features that you have applied, they have all come over here, and you can see them coming over here. You see 1 pixel border on all sides, 20 pixel padding from all sides, and a margin. I've just removed all the margins, 0 margin. Now, if I come over here and I say no, I want to have at least 10 margin or 5 margin, whatever. So I want to change the value. If I say margin 5 pixel, for example, and that margin has gone away. I don't want that one. So margin 5 pixels. So you see my H1 is now a bit offset from that top. Make sense, everyone? So now if I just remove away and then it will go away. Are you understanding the box model now, everyone? And this is so very important. If you understand this box model, you will know a lot of things. If I say width, and I say 300 pixel, you see my H1 is now only this area. And if I show you, now you see the width has become 300, padding is 20 pixel, border is 1, and there is no margin. You see, margin is appearing on the right side, but it's not a margin by the way, because this has ended. And now, since it is, I'll talk about this, since why it is just occupying all this margin, but I'll talk about that, how you can remove that one as well. Wonderful. You understand? So this is basically what. Now I'll tell you another interesting. If I refresh that, everything will go away. You know, if I refresh that, everything goes away. There is no property, and you see that there is no style on CSS. You see that it just applies that one for the time being and just shows it to us. Now I'd like to show you something very interesting, and we have talked about that. If I say border on the right, I just want the border on the right. Border right, 5 pixel, solid, red, and I would like to change its width as well to 300 pixel. Do you see that? And now let's come back to this one. Do you see that border is not on the other side? Just it is on this right side. 5 border of red. So there is no border on top. There is no border on the left. Nothing. But just have. So now it's so important. You say that okay, I can make so many cool effects now. I can say okay, border on the right and border on the left. I just want border on the right and the border on the left also. I want 5 pixel solid red. I want these 2 borders over there. Are you looking at it? How easily we are trying to create so nice effects. And I can say, okay, I want border on the top, border top. I want 5 pixel, but this time I want a different color, green color. I want border at the bottom, and I want a 5 pixel border of green color. Now I'm not able to see that, and why I am not able to see that? Is it switching between something? Well, it's not showing the border there. Maybe so I can check that why it is not showing. Okay, where is the bottom border? Why it's not showing border bottom? Oh, we have not given the property solid. 5 pixels solid green. So I did not give the property. So we can have multiple boards. So you see that how easily. And now, okay, border radius, and I say, for example, 20 pixels. And you see that how interesting now it has become. I can create so many cool effects without even knowing some of the colors and things like that. I can just implement these simple CSS techniques, and I can get that. If I know that yes, that remains that is a border. Yeah, it looks like a pizza store. So CSS pizza store. Brian, nice. Okay, so yes, that's wonderful. So again, we know that if I just refresh it, everything will go away. Okay, so now let's do something. And again, of course, because this is right now, it was all temporary. If I go to, yeah, Vinny, what did you realize? Tell me. Yeah, right. You're right. But if you set a value, yeah. So you are right. That's the thing that we do. Let me just why not? It's not showing. Yeah, 10 will not work. You're right. It won't work. Okay, let me see that why it's not showing that style, because I have applied this apply border 1 pixel solid. Oh, solid, not sold. Solid. And red. So you see now I am applying this CSS. Yeah, you are right. You know, Vinny, this is the thing. Zero means you can write 0 pixel by the way, but zero itself represents that it's 0 in all sense. No worries about that. So I can say, okay, I can say border radius and 10 pixel. Right. So you see that my border radius has gone. Now I can apply these properties. I can say width 300 pixels. Now you see that these all are becoming the permanent one. Do you realize that now they are becoming permanent? Why? Because now they are coming from the CSS. And if you come back over here in your inspector tool, you will find that this H1 has now these properties that I have set up over there. You see, it has overridden all the previous one. Maybe it has overridden all the previous one, and now it is just showing me the original property. Other than width, is there a way to make right side of border always follow the words? I'm not sure I'm making sense of your statement. What do you want to say? Yeah. What does that mean? Other than the width, is there a way to same margin padding like left side of border? If I understood correctly, can you just let me just show you. If I'm understanding you correctly, let me just show you that. Okay, I'll show you. Do you want to say something like this, Brian? Let me know if you want this. Brian, that's very bad. You know, I always allow everyone to just unmute themselves. You can unmute yourself and talk to me. It looks like it's just going on. I'm not making sense of your any question. You can just unmute yourself. Why not you're unmuting? Same margin. Yeah. That's very much possible. But again, how do I understand the question? Okay, you want to say that you want to have same margin on the both sides. Yes, that's very much possible. Now you see here. I'll tell you. For that, Brian, let me tell you. It's called margin left. If I say margin left 10 pixel, right? So margin left will make it from the left side over there. And I think you are right now talking about a padding. So I'll talk about that padding. Padding left. Padding left is 20 pixel, for example. If my padding left is 20 pixel, and I can say padding right is 20 pixel. Now, right now, since the content is smaller, so it's basically just showing that much, and you can inspect that in the inspector. So, okay. So I'm sorry that I won't like to answer now the questions, by the way. Because why the others are explaining me the question, right? Why don't you just unmute yourself? Never mind. I don't want to answer this. No, that's not understandable, Brian. Because every laptop has the mic in itself. Like you can just unmute yourself, and your laptop will catch your sound even if you don't have a mic. Anyhow, so we can just set up all these properties by this one, and these properties means that we have just okay, never mind. So we can just have these kind of things, and that's just there are some other properties as well. We can just do that. Test energy go to center, so now text will be aligned into center. As someone mentioned, there are lots of properties. You have to just go through all those properties that you feel that you might want to understand. So there are lots of properties that you would like to go. But anyhow, the real thing is that everything or every element in our HTML document represents a box, and that's something. So if you see that, if I come over here and I say this paragraph, and I want to work something with the paragraph, and I say, for example, paragraph, and again, let's give it a border, because I just want to see that border, and I say 1 pixel, And if I say solid, or I can say dashed, right? And I say red or green, right? So 1 pixel dashed green. So if I say 2 pixels rather than, so you see that dashed border has appeared on my paragraph, and this looks very bad. Let's make it solid again. And again, what you can do is that you can say, so background color of only this paragraph, I want it to be, for example, any light color, so wheat or something like that. So now my background color is a wheat color of that one. You can change the text, so you can say color and you say white. For example, your text will go white, which is not looking good. So let's make it some dark shade of something like tomato or something. Yeah, we can see that. And you can change the font size as well. So if you say font size, if you say 2 EM, you remember that it will be twice the size of that one. And 2 EM looks very, very, big. So I can just say 1.3 EMs. So now it is there. Now you see that it is all very tight on each other. So what I can do, I can say padding, and I can say only padding, for example, from the left, as someone was asking, padding left, for example, I say 10 pixel. So it will only pad from the left side. If I say padding from the top, so padding top is equal to 10 pixel. And padding bottom, I just want these 3 values. And I'll tell you the shortcut shortly. There are shortcuts for doing that one as well. So you see that it has been padded from the top, from the left, from all these things. So it has been padded like that. You can just define the width as well of this one. Width, and you can say, for example, 500 pixels, something like that. So it will be of this size. Now this is width. Width fit content will adjust box size according to the text size. Okay, so you say that width fix the fit size. So let's just turn that. Fit content. So now it will just, yes, so you are right. So it will just, whatever content will be appearing, and you just, keep on adding the content over there, and it will just, adjust that one. Hello, hello, hello. So if you do that, of course, it will just, go and take that one. So fit content. Yes, so first you are right. So now padding left, padding top, padding bottom, we can just give the single value by this padding. And how can we do that? So you remember, if I do padding 10, it will apply padding on all, or not 10 pixel. It will apply 10 pixel on each side. But do you see that Perth has shared something very interesting? If I say, for example, 5, 10, 5, 10. Let's make it a bit more noticeable. So let's make it 15. Now you'll understand what's going on. Oh, it's all should be pixels. 5 pixel, 15 pixel, and 5 pixel. Okay, Brian, I'm sorry if I was not able to answer, because it's really very irritating at times that you are getting the questions in the chat and you are not making sense of it, and no one is okay. You don't have the mic, but I don't think that no one has a mic. So please, you are always allowed to ask. And again, if I'm not making sense of question, please unmute yourself. Try to arrange a mic. This online teaching. If you are doing online studying, it should not be said to you that you should have a mic, working mic. It should not be something that we need to tell you. Okay, so if you come over here and if you look at the style of this one, I'll show you. If you look at the style of this one, you see that I'm talking about the paragraph first of all. So I'd like to tell you something. So you see that on the left and right, it is 15, and top and bottom, it is 5, 5. Do you see that? Now let me show you. What I have said. 5 left, 5 right, 15 top, 15 bottom. And now I'll show you each and every value. If I do it in set 10, and I save that one, and I show you this paragraph in this one. So you see that top is 5, left is 15, right? And the right is 20. So how does it go? I'll just write this one over here, and let's make it also different. Let's make it 20. So I'll tell you the real thing, how it goes up. So you see that it's saying 5, 10, 20, 15, and 20. So this 5, if you see that the first one is the value of top, right? top pixel, top, how much do you want to the top? Then 10, then it is for the right. You see 10 is on my right side. You understand what I mean? And then the value is basically what? Bottom. Yeah, exactly. It goes in the clockwise bottom, and then it goes where? The 15 pixel on the left. So it goes in the clockwise direction from the top, and this goes for everything, not only for padding, of course, you know, and not only this one. If you want to do something like this, which I was doing before, let me just change that. 5, 10, and 5, 10. So I want again this one. So if you want width and height of the same size, like top and bottom same size, right? 5, 5 pixel, and right and left the same size. So you don't need to write this 4 times. You can write it twice. Now this will be the same. You see top and left 5 and left and right 10. Andy, if you give 3 values, of course, that will be bad of you. But let's see what it does. You should not try that much, by the way. So if you see that now 5, 10, 5, I've just given not that 10. So it is understanding this 10 by automatically. It is saying, okay, you are someone who has forgotten. I know that this would be 10, something like that. So it has just taken this 10 as that one. And you understand what I mean? So it will take this 5 and like this 10 as the top. Now this is the same for everything. This is the same for margin. Does anyone remember what was margin? If I say margin 20 pixel, you will say that this text box goes away from other things. If I say 200, you'll see that. Okay, 200 is too much. If I say 120, something like that, you see that it's the margin. Now my paragraph has a margin of, you see, 120 on all sides. So I don't want this one, of course, and I want to have a 20 pixel, for example, first of all. Now I can do one thing. I can say, okay, 0, and that 0 can go without anything. 0, 10 pixel, 0, 20 pixel. You see what will happen now. Now let's see my paragraph. So my paragraph has, you see, 0 top and 0 bottom margin, and 20 and 10. You see, again, top 0, right 10, and bottom 0 and left 10, left 20. You know what I mean, Andy? So it's basically, it's for everything. You can just, and again, the same thing. If you are doing the same 0, 10, 0, 10, for example, 0, 10, 0, 10. So what you will do, you'll just write it once, and it will understand, okay, I have 4 values. So it will just recognize, okay, it is, the margin is 0 top and bottom, and 10 right and left. Yeah, that's really cool, you know, and it's really something very, very interesting. Right. So now I'm about to start something you will find more and more interesting. Now, so this is all that CSS Box Model has, and we can just create something like that. And you remember that we can create a classes for that one, and we can just, you know, rather than just defining it for paragraph, if I say, you remember demo class, if I define a demo class, paragraph is same. For example, if I come over here and you know that I can just, you know, apply that one. So if I say P and I give it a lorem, for example, and this lorem has appeared, and now if I want to apply a class, you know, class equal to demo. Now all those features that I've applied, they will come into the demo, and my paragraph will become like this. And if I just do the same, class is equal to demo with my h1 as well. So again, that will also adopt all those properties. You see, all those which have been written, they will be overridden, and this paragraph has no class, so I can just go there, and I can, for example, I can say just convert that one into a class, and I say this class is demo1, for example. So now h1 has its own properties, and if I come over here and if I come here and to P, I say demo class equal to demo1. So if I just change that one, so you will say that now this has gone to that one. So how easy it is that you just, you know, define a class and you can just, you know, work on that. Make sense, everyone? So now let's go back to over here, and I want to do something interesting over here. Now let's please come over here and do something like this. Main, I've just created a main section, and I want to create 3 sections with some ID section #1. Oh, sorry, section #1 multiplied by 3. Remember this shortcut? So it will create 3. So I'll say, for example, section 1 And for this, I'll call it to ID, and I'll say section 2. And here I'll say 3, and I'll say section 3. Right, so I've just created some section. And by the way, for the time being, just to show you these, I will make them comment. I just don't want to show them. I want to show them section 1, 2, and 3, because you'll enjoy that. And I will just give you some good example of that. So this is main section, main with ID 1, ID 2, and ID 3, and we can just play with that one. We can work with that one, and I'll tell you what I want to play with that. Okay. Right. So we have created 3 sections, and now what we want to do, we want to create some more very interesting things. Let me just tell you what I want to do over here. Okay, so I have this main section over here. If I go to my style.css and I want to apply the style on the main, just give me a second. Okay, so yes, I want to apply some style on the main. So I'll say, okay, main, right? And if I say, for example, border is equal to 2 pixel solid blue, I want to give some border to that one. Main section I'm talking about, right? And let's do border radius as well. Border radius is equal to, for example, 5 pixel, just a bit curvy border, right? So I've just created that one. So these are the styles that I've applied on the main as a whole. And I want to just, have this main with some style. Now, I have different sections in this one. So you remember, I have different sections in this one. So I'll come to the sections, by the way. So I'll say, for example, section, and again, just apply some other border on sections as well. Solid yellow, for example. Oh, yellow looks bad. Yellow green looks good. Yeah, this looks good, right? So I've given the border to the section separately. Now let's give it a background color, some light background color to have that white smoke, something like that. Does not seem like, because I want to show you the color as well. So let's see what color I want. Yeah, this looks good. So now I have a section, and I have just given some. Let's change color text as well, maybe white. Not looking good. Color, and let's make it tomato color again. So this looks good now, right? So this is here. Now I want to show you something very, very interesting. There are different different algorithms to show something in a section. So you see this main is a one main that has multiple sections in it. And if I want to display it on my page, and in a way that they are flexible for the viewing. Right now they are all represented like this. So if you go to your main area, and if you show display, and I'll talk about other display properties as well shortly. So there is one property which is called flex model, and I'll talk about that in very much detail. If I apply this flex model on the main section, which has all these 3, so you see that all 3 have appeared with one another. They are just appeared one another in this section, in this main. So display flex is an algorithm to display elements. Elements flexibly. So it's an algorithm that will show our elements flexibly in a flexible environment. Now it has different properties. The flex has different properties that we can just create. And first of all, it looks like that this section 1, section 2, they look very tight with each other. So why not just apply some padding, right? Let's apply some padding of 10 pixels. You see now they look good, right? So you see that with a small tweak, you see that how effectively you can just make those things. So maybe rather than by 10 pixel, I can just say 5 pixel on top left, and again right and left, so that it looks a bit more like menu-like environment. Okay, so flex. So this flex algorithm has certain properties that we can always set, and these properties will display our contents according to our requirement. So there is a property called justify content, and justify content has different features. And first of all, I'll talk about space evenly. There are multiple values of this. See my content on the right side. If I do space evenly, if I hit save, and the real interesting point about this is that when I just move my page over there, you see that they are still flexible and they are visible. And when you stretch that, you'll find that like this. Are you making sense of it? It looks so beautiful when I'm just squeezing my page, they become all in a one side. And when I start stretching my document, they are evenly spaced between themselves. So this is one of the property, like one of the value of this property, space evenly. There are other properties as well. Let's talk about those other properties. Space evenly, and then let's see what are other. Space around. If I say space around, that's another very interesting one. If I say space around, you see here. Okay, what has happened? You see that they have equally spaced around their elements. So if I just squeeze them, so they have space around them. You see the difference between this and space evenly. You see they are around, space is around. Now this is the second value. Now what is the third one? Space between, which I like the most. Or you can just select whatever you want. Space between. Now you see here. Now that is space between. So if you start stretching them, they will be at their ordered location. Space between. Do you understand that? So these are the properties that we can set. And again, if you remember, I have told you that whenever you are creating a website, you can go to inspect and you find out on different views how it would look like. It would look like this. So this looks very responsive. It would look like this, very responsive. You see, let me make it 100%. You see that on S20 Ultra, on Galaxy Fold, it will look like this, which is again very interesting. It shows that it's not destroying anything. So I can put all the contents in between that one, and I can just see that it's all responsive, and I can see that my contents are never destroyed. They are all responsive in nature. You know what I mean? So that's a space between. Now here I would take a quick break, but I will leave you a very interesting game. Flexbox Froggy. Now you would love this game. I'll show you. It's already on level 13 because I have shown this student many times. So now I'll just remove that. Okay, to practice this topic, you can play this game. And in the meantime, I'll give you a break where you can just play that. And I'll ask after the break that how many of you have reached to some different level. Now to practice this Flexbox Froggy, it will give you all the contents over there. Flex start, flex, and justify content value. So if I say justify, so you have to take this frog to its lily pad, right? You have to take this frog to. So now if I write justify content, and just for example, if I say flex dash start, if I do that, nothing happens because flex start is not the right way. If I say, for example, if I say that take this justify content and I say center, if I do that, you see that the frog is going in the center, but that's not required. I required to have that one at the bottom. So if I say, for example, justify content flex end, now this is the one that it was looking for. You got it? You would have never got this type of assignment in your life before. So if I go to the next one, now there are two frogs that you have to take to their respective lily pads. So again, they are right now in flex end. If I say flex start, not good. If I say space between, not good. If I say space around, not good. And if I say center, and by the way, it will make you practice everything. Brian, are you getting that? Isn't that interesting? So I'll leave you with this little interesting game that will tell you, and you have to read this one over here and then apply this one. Read this one and apply that one. So you will try to come up with how many levels you are able to see. There are certain things that you might not do, might not like about this, but again, you can just keep on going, and you will get next, where there will be frogs, and you have to settle those frogs into their respective boxes. So let's take a quick break. And I think you have got to reach to this froggy one, and let's take a quick break. And after 5 to 7 minutes, I will be back, and then we'll discuss some more fun part. Until then, just enjoy your break and have a cup of tea. Okay. Right up. So we have just talked about this Flexbox Froggy game, and I'm expecting that some of you have said you are level 11, 12, 13. So if you just play that one, you will definitely like you are gonna like that, and you will have so many interesting things, flex direction and all those things, and you'll be doing that. But before that, I would like to tell you some more interesting fact from our working point of view. Now, you see that it becomes very flexible. The UI becomes very flexible, and when we stretch that, of course, it just comes here down, and then it just goes away. And on any of the viewing area, it is showing me exactly the right thing that I want to show, that I want to have. But the problem is that the width of, if you see, the width of this section 1 is only till its own point. The width of section 2. Now, I want to tell you that there is a very interesting way of doing that. So, I can recognize these 3 sections with their IDs. So if I say #1, and I can recognize #2 because I've given them IDs. So you can have in your CSS IDs and 3. Now, there is a property of flex model that if I go in 1 and I say flex1, what does that mean? If I say flex1, so flex1 means, you see that for this 1, I'm talking about this section 1. For this section 1, I have set to this section 1 that whatever space you find, you just occupy all the space. So you see the width of my first section is keep on increasing when I stretch or squeeze. Do you see that? By 1 means that you have to occupy whatever space is available on the screen, you occupy that. You see that? Right now, this section 1 is back to its original width. But now if I start stretching it, section 1 is going all the way over there. You understand? And what I can do, I can just show you something as well. I can change the background color for that one so that we know that this is the section, this is the different section or something like that. So you see, this is my section 1. So my section 1 goes all the way, its size keeps on increasing. Now, what does that mean? It means that I am saying that divide the screen into 1/3. Let me just show you. Divide the screen into 1/3. So 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. So so from that you occupy the one part. Again, whatever the size of the screen is, you have to occupy the one part of it. So you stretch yourself according to the size of that. You understand what I'm saying? Now, so for example, if I do something like this, if I say this 2 and I come over here and I say flex1, and let's change its background color as well, just do something different again to see that what is going on. Now, if you see what is going on, and I would like you to just chime in and tell me what is going on. If I start stretching my screen, 1 and 2 are occupying the maximum space, and 3 is its own width. 1 and 2 occupying more space, and 3 is its own space. You getting the point? You see here. So one means that you also, so I'm allowing it also that whatever space you find, you just stretch yourself. So now it is trying to stretch, and third one is on its own location. And what if I come over here and I say flex 1? So again, now they will occupy the space according to one third. Okay, what I did mistake. I've taken it out of it. Now you see that all three will be occupying its equal space. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. How many of you are getting that? They are occupying their space. Now you can do what in your bigger projects. What you can do? It's not only section 1. You would like to have some text over here, for example. So, for example, I'll say lorem 1000, for example. So there's some text that is being appearing over here. You see, this text is going all the way over there. 1000 is too much, it looks like. Oh, 1000 is too much. 1000 paragraphs is brought up. Okay, so I'll do that only with lorem 5, for example. Okay. Lorem 5 and just bring. Okay, it's just bringing up the 5 text, which is not good. So let's take the lorem only. This looks good. So I have some contents over here, right, in my section 1, and I can have something of same kind in my section 2, for example. So some text in the section 2, and I can have some text in section 3 as well. Now you see all three have the text, and now I have got the handlers for them, but like for each and every one. So what I can do is, for example, I can do that as well. So text align and justify, for example. I want to have justified text for everyone. Yeah, it's basically you can do that. You can use Flex to use the multi-column website as well. Flex is one of the way of doing that. You know what I mean? You see, so this is basically one of the things that we are doing. But you can use this flexible. So okay, so if you see that it's the text is going like this one, yeah, that's really wonderful, you know. And you can just change the color of it one, this one, and you can say that, for example, black. You want this with a black text or something like that. You can have a picture rather in between this one. You know, you can just bring a picture from here, for example. So you say img and let's say abc.jpg, which is not there, and I'll bring that any picture. Right, so you can have a picture over there, and you will have this, you know, section going on all the way, and your picture and your section will be occupying the required space, whatever is there. And by the way, as I said, you can always by the way, you can just do like that as well. So for example, you are saying that you are saying, for example, so you are saying that 1 1 1 you are occupying, for example, you say that 3 sections should occupy 2 sections of that. So if you say 2, so you see that now this one is making bigger and these 2 are coming smaller. So, but Flex has a problem, and that I'll discuss, you know, later on when I'll discuss CSS Grid with you. Flex has an inherent problem that I'll talk about later on. But right now, I just wanted to tell you that yes, this is the thing that you can always do, and that is quite wonderful that you can just play with this Flex and everything. Right? You bring some picture over here. And I have some car pictures on desktop. Let me just bring one picture. And I'll paste that in our folder, working folder today. This is our week 11. So I'll paste that and I'll rename that also with ABC. Right? Let's see if that is abc.jpg. It's not abc.jpg. We'll see it is JPEG, you know. So this is the little tweaking that I'll need to do. So it's a JPEG. Oh, quite big. Width equal to 300, and height equal to 300. So let's do that. So you see here that now I'm trying to make it put our nav on left session. Text. Yeah, exactly. You can do that. You can do, but but really just wait. Why I'm saying wait, because I will teach you CSS Grid. That when you'll discuss CSS Grid, you'll say, okay, I don't want to discuss this one. Rather, I'll go for that one, right? So, or maybe let's say that width is equal to 100%. So you might go for that one later on. You will say, no, that's the wonderful thing that I want to have, because CSS Grid is far more powerful than this one. So again, it's up to you. You can always do that. But of course, CSS Grid is typically meant for that. So if you see here that it's basically going, and you can just make that. But yes, you are right. Overall, this looks very good, and this is something really wonderful that we can just work with, and we can just work lots of things that we can just do. Now here I would like to give you some hints, and we are still discussing this some CSS special features. We have talked about this flex box, like the flex model, and we can talk about some other aspects as well. But before that, I want to tell you that there's some website that you can use to find out what color do you want to use. Like, this looks very bad, the colors looks very bad. So there is a website called rapidtables.com. rapidtables.com. And for that, I want to go for web. Is that this web design or web colors? If you go, so so it shows you, and you have the color picker or something. You can go over there, and rather I prefer to use this one, peloton.com. Let's see if I have spelled it right. peloton.com. No. If I remember. Oh, this is this peloton.com is quite good. I usually use that one. So you see that it will show you different colors combinations which you can use. So for example, if I take, for example, I want to keep the theme of my website like this. Okay, so I say, okay, this looks good. So for example, what is this? 96A537. You see the color scheme? So I'll go to my style, and I'm just telling you that how you can just do lots of things. So if I say, and I say body, and I want to say background color equal to, what is the color code? You can see that 96A537. So I'll write hash 96A537. This will become the background color of my website. You see, the background color is like this. Now, again, so for example, I want to have this, for example, one of the section of this color, 475300. So I'll go there, and I'll say, for example, for the, which one is that? For example, this one looks very bad, yellow green, and I want to change it to this one, 475300. So I can just do over there. I can just remove this, and I just write a hash, and again the number code 475300. So 475300. I want it to be of this color. So now you see here. Okay, I've done this for the section. Okay, sorry, I'll just take that, and the border of the section, by the way. So I will cut that or copy that one, and I want to apply that on the background color of one. So again, it's up to you. You can just use anything. So I've just done that. So now this is the color of that one. And for example, this light color, this one, I want to have this color for that one. So I'll say, okay, I'll just, I can just copy that one as well. I think, yes, I can copy that. So I'll come over here, and I'll say, for example, the other one, this one, I don't want this. Rather, you can always do hash and then paste that color code, and it will produce that code for you, that color for you. And where did I do? I did it for 2, right? So I've done that for 2, but you can just do lots of things, whatever you want. So these are the color combinations we'll show you. Okay, this is one color. This is one color that you can implement. So let's pick this one. This looks a bit good. Copy this one, and for the 3. Let's do that for the background color of 3, and hash and paste that color. So you will see that it will just change the color of that particular one. So it's up to you. You can implement anything that you want. So this is called rapidtables.com, and you can always work on that one, and this will give you lots of color options. You want to select out of it, you just spin this wheel, and you will find your interesting color option. For example, you want this color option, you want this colors option. So these are all color options which are available to you, and you can always go to them and select them for your own good. You'll be always able to find that. Right. So what else I want to discuss with you today? There is something that I plan for today. Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about the color picker over here. Yeah, this one is also good. You can just pick a color, design a color, and you can just pick that one. Yes, you're right. That's another very interesting one. Yes, so I want to discuss one more thing, which is specificity, which I have not discussed, and I'll discuss that with you right now. Now, this document is let's leave this document because it has already too many contents. So I'll create another document for today. So it has all those things over here. It is just changing all those colors and everything, and of course it does not look good at all. So I'll just create another document. So I'll create another document for today with today's dates, March 21.j.html, right? And let's create a CSS as well, March 21.css, because I want to show you a few very interesting things over here. So March 21 HTML, just complete that HTML part, and right now I want it to be maximized. So complete that HTML. So the heading for this is some useful CSS. We are discussing some useful CSS, and you will definitely enjoy that one. So if I define an H1 over here, oh, sorry, this is not styling, right? This is H2. So if I define an H1, I am heading 1, right? So just define an H1, and let's connect with that our style sheet. Link src is equal to march21.css, right? So I've just connected it with that one. So I have an H1 over here. I want to show you something very interesting. If I come over here and if I define a style for H1 and I say color blue, right? So now I will run this March 21 file, by the way. I will talk about the specificity and some interesting feature. I am H1, looks good. Nothing wrong with anything. And by the way, in notes, I can write that. So we have talked about this one, and now I'm talking about specificity. Because you might be wondering that why something is changing and why something is not changing. So I'll talk about that. Now, if I go to this one and I define a style for H1, if I say H1 color red, okay, so it becomes red. If I say H1 and I say color yellow, it becomes yellow, which is very bad, right? So it becomes green. Do you see what's going on? If you take your cursor over that H1, you see that it's showing selector specificity 001. I'll talk about what the 001 means. This is 001 specificity 001. Keep that in mind, right? I'll talk about something interesting. Now, if I come over here and if I say H1 ID is equal to, and I give it an ID of heading 1, right? I'm just giving an ID. Heading 1. And I come back over here and I define a style. Okay, first of all, what is happening? That if you define H1 style again and again and again, so the last one will be executed because all those rest will be gone away. Are you getting that? This is typically, doing what? When H1 is defined, like that's the other one, it will just, the previous one will be overridden by that. Now I'm doing something interesting. If I define the style for this heading 1, if I come over here and I say heading 1 and I say color, I'll just play with colors, right? I'll say color 1 and I save that one. Now come over here. Do you see the specificity 100? Now let's go back to H1 001. Okay, let's do another thing. Let's define a class with heading 1 name, right? Color, and let's take a color which is not being used, maybe tomato, right? And this is not anywhere. I'll come over here and I'll say class equal to heading 1. So it has a class heading 1 also again. Heading 1. Now you see that it's still that violet color, even though I have defined this class over here. Now see here, why? Are you understanding? Specificity. So the highest priority is given to ID 100. Class has the second highest priority 010, and the selector has the lowest priority of 001. It means if I ever define an ID for some element, all styles will be overridden. And if I take away this ID, for example, if I delete or if I comment this one, can anyone tell me what will be the color of my heading? I am adding one. What should be the color? What specificity tells you? It should be tomato or green. Yeah, that's wonderful. It should be tomato color. And why tomato? Because you know the class has higher specificity than that one. Is that right? There is one thing that usually we do not use, and that is not that much used these days, but let me just implement that. I don't know its support is still there or not. It's called important switch we use. Yes, it is still in use, but again we very seldom use that. So you see that if you do something as hash important, it will override anything, but let's see if it overrides the ID as well. So it overrides everything. Important means it is the important one. Even though it looks like in our programming term not important, but this is important. Sign of exclamation is for this one. So if I say that's important, then it will just occupy this one. So if I cut this important from here and I come and say, for example, to this class, for example, I say for this class, I say this class is important. So now this class will be printed, even the heading will also go away. Like even the ID will also go away. So specificity. Is that right? Looks good to everyone? Now, so this is what doing, and it's basically doing what? It is telling us the specificity of different things, and you should be taking extra care of that one. This is not important. It's generally not recommended to be used. So if I don't use that, you know that this violet color will appear. Why? Because it has the ID, and ID has the highest priority, and this ID will typically be talking about. Right. So what else I want to discuss today? That's we have talked about. So again, I was saying that you were talking about some of the. Yeah. So let's talk about something else. Does anyone remember what was the meaning of this EM font sizing? If I tell you, if I just come in and write a paragraph over here, lorem. So I just bring some paragraph over here. It's a paragraph over here. And if you remember, if I apply some styling on the paragraph, I want to tell you something very interesting. If I say 1 EM font size, and I say 1 EM, if I do this font size equal to 1 EM, what happens? That it is 1 EM, and 1 EM is 16 pixels, you remember? And if I say 2 EM, it is 32 pixels. Now font size is 32 pixels. If I say 1.2 EM, of course, it is above 16 pixel, and it is according to some of the things that it has gone over there. Right? So now see here, I want to tell you something. Let's create some new items over there, and let's create for example, let's create a button, and let's call it sign up button. I'll create a sign up button as well, right? And let's create another option over here. Let's take away this ID and this all, and of course now and I don't want this H1 colors too much, so I'll just define one H1. So it is the blue, and there is and I don't want these classes as well. Just don't need, right? I just want to make it more. So now I have got a sign up button as well. I'll play with this one as well, but before that I want to play with something else. So if I say div, and I put everything inside this div, right? So I put this first one, and if I give this ID equal to, for example, main. This is the main div that I've created. I want to tell you something real cool that you will definitely enjoy. Now come over here, and if I come to my body, HTML body, and I want to apply some style, and I say, for example, so background color, let's apply some background color, or something, right? Now there is something very interesting. If I come to the div, for example, or ID main, if I come to this ID main, and I say main, so I define a main ID, and I say, for example, font size equal to 2EL. Now, this main, this all has gone twice of the size of whatever they were before. You understand, everyone? It has gone twice as the size of the previous one. Now, in paragraph, I have given this 1.2. Let me just, remove that one. And I don't give this font size over here as paragraph. So this font size is a normal one. Now, if I say 2EL, my big question is over here. Font size is 2EL. Can you guess what is going on? The font size of paragraph, is it 16 pixel? I'm asking a question. Is it 32 pixel, by the way, because it's already double, or it is something else? Do you understand what I'm saying? The font size of P, it is 64. But why it is 64? That's wonderful. It is 64 pixel right now. But why it is 64 pixels? But can you tell me why it is 64 pixel? Do you know the reason? But if you know the reason, can you just explain that? Because I would like to discuss that reason, but I would like to have some explanation from you. It is 64 pixel. You are right. Definitely, you are right. And why is that? Now listen. Exactly. So whenever we use this 2EM means that it will make it double, multiply it. So this main was doing 2EM. It means it was become 16 pixel over here. Or not 16. It became 32 pixel over here. And when I did 2EM in P, because this P is inside this main. So now what happens is that it will do 2EM. It means that now it will multiply that 32 with the 64, with the 64, like 32 with 2, and it will become 64 pixel. Now, other than these 2-3 guys who are discussing, everyone understanding that? So EM unit has an inherent problem. It always doubles whatever it gets from its parent. It looks for the parent. So for example, this paragraph will look the font size. If you have to do 2EM of this paragraph will say, okay, I'll go to my parent. My parent is hash main, the ID main. Okay, what is the size of? It says that it's already 32 pixels. It's 2EM. Okay, it will say that I'll double it. So to save ourselves from this, first we have another unit, and that unit is called RAM. RAM, rather than M, we use RAM. And now see what happens when I do RAM. Do you understand that it has gone to, again, it's not 64 pixel anymore. Now it has gone to, again, 32 pixel. So RAM does what? It goes to the root, and whatever is in the root size, it will just adapt that, and it will just, according to that, change itself. So 2 RAM means 32 pixels. If I say 3 RAM, it will be 48 pixels. Why? Because it will always go to the top. So always try to use, and I will be using RAM very much over here, because RAM does what? It always go to the root. And root, if root has defined some font size. So for example, the root is body right now. So if I come over here and I say, for example, 32 pixel. Now you see, if I ask you, oh, this is not the root, by the way, this is the body right now, and body is not the root. I think if I include HTML also, then it will, yeah. So you see that HTML is the root element. Root element is HTML, not body. Remember, I was doing a mistake. This HTML is the root element for everything, right? So if I change the root element to 32 pixel, do you know what is the size of this main? Now it is going to the top. It is the root element. It finds 32 pixel. So 32 by 2 is 64. So it changes to the 64. You understand that? And again, if I just do this silly mistake, I do this 2EM rather than 2 RAM. So what will happen? This font has gone to maybe 128 or something like that. You know what I mean? So always try to use this RAM. And if you are not defining anything of at all, it will just go and adapt from the top. And now I'm telling you another very, very interesting shortcut over here. And rather than, you can do that for the body as well. So if you do a little tweaking, and you will know, I'll leave this to you because this is a simple calculation. If I do font size equal to 62.5%, a very interesting thing happens. Now 1 rem is equal to exactly 10 pixels. If you do that, if you do 62.5 in the body of that one, 62.5%, now 1 rem or 1 m means equal to 10 pixels exactly. It is not a 16 pixel anymore. It is not a 16 pixel anymore. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Now this is, it means that this, when I'm saying 2 rem, I'm talking about 20 pixels. So if I say 1 rem, it is 10 pixels, right? If I say paragraph is also 1 rem, I'm saying that this is 10 pixels. You see that paragraph has gone so short. So always make this tweaking that you do over there, and just you want to do that, and you would like to do that. And this ramp plays a very important role, because I wanted to tell you another very interesting shortcut. So you see when I have created a button over here. If you come over there and if I say button, I want to apply some style to the button. So for example, I say to margin 20 rem. So button has gone, 20 rem, 20 over there. Now, if I say padding, I can give this padding and everything. So if I say padding should be 2 rem from the top and 4 rem from the bottom, from the left and right. So you see, now my button has gone like this. So if I say background, and if I say background none, you'll see that what will happen. If I say background none, the background goes away. My button looks like this one. If I say border and I say 0.3 rem solid, and maybe let's take a color, a random color, RGB. So this is RGB, another method of doing that. RGB 111, 82, 207. This will be a nice purple color, purple shade. So now my button is that like that. Now what I can do else? I can say, for example, so font color should also be the same. Let me copy this color. I'll copy this font color, and I want to have this font color as well. This. So font color is also gone that one. Now font size, and I say 2.4 rem. For example, I want to change the rem. It's bigger now. And another very interesting thing, and you can do that with the pictures as well. And by the way, this is a very interesting shortcut. If I say border pixel is equal to 50%, border radius is equal to 50%. You know what will happen? See here. Okay. And why it is doing? Because height and width are different. So if I say height 20 rem and width 20 rem, if I make them equal, so you see I have my button, which is a rounded, and it looks 20 rem is a bit more. If I do 10 rems, it looks very small. So 15, or I can make it, the text size is smaller as well. So font size not 2.4 rem, rather if I do 1.4, very short, 1.9 looks good, bigger. So 1.6, you can just settle that one. So now this button looks very different from that one. And another thing, you remember cursor. Cursor pointer is one of the features you always want to do with the buttons, so that your cursor becomes pointer. Is that right? And now margin was 20 rem is very bad. So let's make it. It's looking very, very big anyhow. But let's do that. 1 rem, small font size, and let's make its font size and its size is smaller. 10 rem and 10 rem maybe. So this is one button that we have. And you can have multiple buttons over there, and you just create a button in your HTML, and that create button will be. So if I say sign in, and if I create a button, you see that the button will be automatically like this. And you keep on creating the buttons, and you'll keep on getting the same feature because all those buttons. Right. So that's a very interesting thing. And I was saying that you can do this with the pictures, because we have got one picture as well over here. Now let me bring that picture. So img is equal to what I've named abc.jpeg, right? And let's leave this width and height. It's looking very, very bad. So now if I come over here, and I'm just telling you a very interesting shortcut. So if I do img, and let's copy some of the features from here. Border radius, I'll copy that one. You see that picture will appear like this. You see, have you seen that, the display pictures, or the profile pictures, usually they appear like this. And you can give it a very nice border as well. So you say border 5-pixel solid green. You see that picture? So you can create a profile picture somewhere. Is that helpful? And again, the next thing that I would like to discuss in our coming, in this week's study, I'll talk about the CSS Grid, which is very interesting, but I don't want to talk about this today. Let me see if something remaining that I want to talk about today. Yeah, so one more thing that I would like to talk about here. Okay, so if I show you something, these buttons are all coming in a one line. That's wonderful. We can talk about that. And image also comes in a way. So I'll just for the time being, I will just make it a comment. I'll take it away. So you see that all buttons are coming in one line, right? So now if you want to change that, if you go into the button and if you say display block, just block. If you do the display block, see what happens. It makes your cursor turns into pointer looking shape. Okay, what was the question? What cursor? Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you. So you see, when I said display block means it will occupy one block of space and it will never allow anything in front of it. Right? This is called block. Now, if I say no, I want to have this inline block. Inline block means they will come inline as well, and they will have some block properties as well. Block is what? When you occupy a complete block. And you remember H1 never allows anything in front of it. You see that H1 is alone always. H1, I'm adding one, will be always alone. Now let me just make it a bit bigger in size. H1 font size, and I say 3 RAM, for example, just to make it a bit bigger. Now if you see that H1 does not allow anything in front of it. If I come over here and I say display block is the automatic one for this one. If I say inline block, now H1 should be able to accommodate anything in front of it. But the problem is that paragraph also is a block line. So if I come over here and if I change this paragraph as well, I'll say display inline block. Still not coming. And why it's not coming? It should come over here. Let me just check that, because now I have done both of them inline, and inline means that both of them should appear now with that one. So where is that? My open that up. H1. It's inline block. It should be there. This is inline block. And why in the world you are not showing then? Maybe because of your width. Width 20 pixels, something like that. Make it very short. Yeah. So you see that I just done that very crazy thing because I've just made that one. So okay, just to make it 200 pixels. You see that both of them are coming in the same line. Understand, everyone? So this is called inline block. So inline block means they will come inline. You can just convert a block element into inline block, and it will become something like this. Is that right? So I would leave few things on you that you can just try that on, and you will just you will enjoy that. Display flex does the same thing, right? Yeah, one way or other you can say that display flex also does that same. Yes, you're right, but flex has a different purpose altogether. But anyhow, you're right. That's another correlate that you can take out from that one. Yes, that inline block also, like flex was also doing something else, something of this kind. But again, you can do that without using CSS. So I'm stopping here. We have done lots of things today. So I'm stopping here. If you have any questions, you can just ask right now. I'll stop the recording. Oh, sorry. I'll pause the recording.